taking that route. So alternatively, we can get into the NKBE and the Sungai Buloh Kajang, right? Then you can exit at the Kota Damansara to Kajang and get back into Siaran. Right? If you do that, then you would have already avoided this particular stretch. Again, this is a smaller stretch, smaller section that we are looking at. So this is one of the alternatives that motorists can consider to avoid the road area. If you look at another section, Kota Damansara, continuing from the previous slide, Kota Damansara, right down to TTDI. Okay, this would be the effective stretch, which is basically along the Siaran Surian, right down to Dazaran Sunway, the curve, and coming on to LDP a bit, right up to TTDI. Okay, alternatively, we could avoid that stretch by taking, getting into the highway at the Kota Damansara Toll Plaza, okay, taking the NKBE and taking the Spring Highway via the Damansara Toll Plaza. That's one alternative that the motorist can take. Another section from TTDI going down to the city center. This area is basically the Bangsa Pusat pada Damansara Selatan area. Okay, so as we know, even without construction, that area is always very heavy to construct. So these are the alternatives that you can take. You can take Jalan Ling, get into Jalan Kita or Jalan Kecil. You can also, if you are in this area, you're coming from this area, and you're getting into here. You can also take the Kerinci Lane to get to the city center inside. Or you could take the Kerinci Lane, get into Jalan Saikutra, go to the other side. Okay? The city center itself is basically the underground section, but where the station boxes are, we envisage there to be congestion in that area. So to avoid the whole sected stretch here, motorists can take Jalan Parlimen and Jalan Baju Chula to get to this side, which is right near the Royal Selangor Golf Club. Alternatively, you can also take the Jalan Gaza and Lugyu to get into the Boraya Mahameru. That's a possible option for motorists. So if they take this route, then they will have avoided this particular stretch. Okay, this is in the city center. Going down south to the other end, from Corporate and Maluri area, right down to the beginning of the Grand Saga Highway through Cheras. These are the alternatives that you can take. Through Kampung Pandan, MRT, and then take the East West Link, which will take you to near Plaza Phoenix. Okay, alternatively, take the East West Link and the KL Samban Highway to get to the city center towards Jalan Plaza. So these are the possible alternatives. If they do this, then they would have avoided this particular stretch. Okay, another area, another section, Cheras area to Balakong, Sungai Buloh, Mahkota Cheras. Okay. This is the alignment where work will be done. So this will be the stretch where motorists will be affected. So alternatively, they can take the Silk Highway, okay, get on to Best Raya and get on to MRT to get to the city center, and vice versa. Okay, finally, down south, right up to the very end, this stretch is not a highway. This is coming off from the highway. This particular stretch is following the road that goes into Kajang town, Jalan Cheras Lama. where we will have 3 stations there. And of course, once the road start, it will be very congested. So alternatively, they can make use of the Silk Highway. This is basically the Silk Highway, the ring road. Okay. From Malacca right down to Kajang. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Now obviously, as we said earlier, that these routes are not meant to be a solution to the congestion. But I think during peak hours, 7 to 9, 5 to 7, this will probably not be a solution. But during off-peak hours, I think between say 10 a.m. onwards, these alternative routes will provide a buffer for motorists to avoid congested work areas of MRT. As we said, we're sharing this on our web portal as soon as possible. Now, you also saw some pictures of how we have asked how PDP manages our work project contractors in terms of putting the hoardings straight line, making sure there's no kinks along the hoardings. Some of you may think that, okay, so you see works, you see in Kuala Lumpur how it's bad, but we're quite serious in this. In fact, you can ask PDP, MRT pressures them, so they pressure their WPCs. All our team in MRT is always on the ground looking at how work is affecting motorists. If we see any incursions into roads which is not permitted, then we will call up our PDP to make sure that this is corrected. This is ongoing. And just now you saw a flow chart of how when a complaint is received, it goes down to a series of people. MRT is involved in this. I get these notifications as well. And when a complaint is received, the time frame to go to the site of the complaint is 30 minutes. Within 30 minutes of receiving a complaint from the public, work project contractor, PDP, and ourselves should be on site. In 30 minutes, resolution is supposed to be achieved within the specified time, depending on the nature of the complaint. And I would like to encourage members of the public as well, if they find any misgivings or shortcomings, to contact our hotline 1-800-826-868 so that we can take remedial action immediately. The intention is to minimize inconvenience to the public, so we hope that we can all cooperate and work together towards this goal. Okay, do we have questions from the media? Do you have any questions?
How long will alternative route take part?
Which one are you referring to?
How long?
How long will it be inactive? In place. Throughout bearing in mind the alternative routes are basically existing roads. Okay. So we are suggesting that for motorists who want to avoid the congested areas, they can use this alternative as long as the works are still ongoing in the MRT line.
Is there going to be a signage like one alternative towards the alternative?
For alternative routes, we do not put up signages. We put out this info. That's why we are coming up with this information to give some ideas to the motorists. But we will not be putting up alternatives because the alternatives are not, as I mentioned, they are not definitive. They are not the only alternative. These are what we can suggest. There could be more alternatives. So there's no point in putting up signages along the way. But this information will be disseminated to the motorists, to the public, as a suggestion.
And the public can only view the suggestion in your website.
Yes. Our feedback address remains active so that we members of the public can continue to give their feedback. In fact, we get a lot of feedback from the public. Even now, I think on average about 5 a day, we respond to this within the same day itself. Yeah, that was nice.
When would a complete list of all these alternative roads be up in your website?
By Saturday.
By Saturday.
So you mentioned that you'll be liaising with certain other operators, private operators and whatnot, to get the message out as to what the alternative is. Now you're saying that there will not be any.
Well, we're not going to put up signages on the road. On the road itself, we're not going to say, okay, we're going from Cheras going to KL, we take the east-west link. We're not going to do that. But when we say we're cooperating with other parties, for example, on Plus Highway, on the MKDE, for example, they have their gantries which will provide information. So if works along Jalan Damansara, from Damansara exit towards Pusat Lama Damansara, is creating a lot of traffic congestion on, let's say, 11 o'clock, right? Because there are a couple of stations and all that. Then we will inform Plus, and Plus will put up these notices. And this will then be communicated on that. With this, we are still talking to Plus. Number 2 is radio stations. We are going to be sharing information with radio stations in that area now. There's a lot of congestion because of the MRT works, so do find an alternative. So I think on AMP radio networks, the news is only hour by hour, and they have traffic. Then we want to ride on that and inform as well.
Generally, what you will see, I mean, here we're showing an area-wide, a sectional-wide, small. But there's also another thing that we call localized diversions or alternatives. And these localized alternatives, there are many of them. So the ones that you usually see on the road when you come to a construction area, detour signs, those are very localized. Okay. Those you will see on physical sites.
Yeah. Now, just look at this is 2012, yeah? So you'll see the areas that are going to be, these are the marked in red right now. So these are the areas in 2012 where the work will start. 2013, a little bit more. Now, bear in mind, by 2014, some of the works that are done in 2012, we have now moved up to the above ground stations. 2015. So by 2017, the whole alignment should be ready. This is not an indication of how bad the jam is going to be. The one that started in 2012, by 2015 and 2016, a lot of the work which are on the ground would have moved now to building stations above ground. So this just gives you a snapshot of progressively how we do it.
Just to add on to Shirani now, for the localized, we're going to have some informative board as well, like let's say in the local areas, the police stations and the hospital, we're going to put some info board as well. So where people passing through, they will know that what actually we're going to do.
Any for medical emergencies, it's going to be quite congested. How many hospitals and private hospitals be affected by this? Has the study been done? For ambulance services, if they get caught in the jam?
That's part of our emergency plan. It's part of our emergency plan as well, whereby we have identified the hospitals throughout the alignment and what steps needs to be taken in case of an emergency, such as an accident.
The emergency response teams, the vehicles are also there to assist, for example, those kind of emergencies. If there's an accident, then these people along together with the police will assist to clear the roads to make way for emergency vehicles, emergency services.
Any other questions?
Any plans to hire Rela? Let's traffic wardens.
At the moment, RELA is not on our.
Because you mentioned traffic wardens.
Yes, these are provided by the WPC. So that this is part of the contract that they need to provide together with flagman and all this is part of the contract.
We have the next question. What about mitigating measures for noise pollution during the construction? Is there
Noise pollution. How do you control noise? Yeah.
Noise pollution.
during the construction?
Well, during the construction area, during the construction period, where we anticipate the noise to be very high, then certain mitigating measures will be put in place, such as temporary noise barriers. These are already being arranged for certain areas that are ongoing now, which are very close to residential areas. So these are the things that the contractor will have to put in place to mitigate the noise pollution.
What about normal roads like the public presentation that you showed us very close to the passing traffic area?
Yes.
The LTE infrastructure. So do you think is it required?
It depends on the area. Depends on the area. If it's non-sensitive means it's away from residential area, for example. And if it's in a busy commercial area where it's already noisy, then you wouldn't need to put any other measures. Bearing in mind that all this will have to be, we are doing this in compliance to the DOE requirements with regard to noise pollution.
Yeah, I think that's quite important to know. DOE monitors this closely. Project has to see DOE approval.